Okay, so now we're looking at fractions. And like I mentioned on the last slide, break it up into two problems. Don't try to do everything at one time. So the square root of 64, that's 8. The square root of 49, that's 7. All right, done. That was easy. Okay, so for this one, you have the square root of 13 over the square root of 9. I'm going to jump to the denominator because I recognize that the square root of 9, that's 3. Okay. 13, you may automatically recognize because it's a small number that it's a prime number. So 13 might be a prime number that you remember, okay? Meaning there is no number then other than itself and 1 that could be a factor. So that's a prime number. There are other larger numbers that there is no perfect square that will go into it. So it can't be simplified. If that is the case, you leave it as the square root of 13 or square root of 29. Or there's some others that I just can't think of off the top of my head right now. But if you do come up to a number and you have divided all the way up the chart, okay, like I told you to, and you went all the way up to 4 and there was no number that went into it, then you're good. Your answer is simply the same thing. You just rewrite it the same. That is the simplified form, okay? All right, so biggest issue for this problem is students end up getting it, okay? Eventually they get it. But where they go wrong is they forget to put the negative in the answer. Just bring it down in your work, I recommend, because 9 out of 10, what happens is you take what you got as your work answer and you try to key it in and you completely forgot about the negative. Or before you even start working, go ahead and type negative in the answer box and then do your work, and then you can go and finish putting in your answer after. All right, so we're going to separate this square root of 45 over the square root of 144. Okay. I'm recognizing that 144 is a perfect, so I have 12 at the bottom. Notice I brought my negative over. Now 45, I need to simplify that. I don't recognize it as a prime number. I know exactly what perfect square goes into it, but you probably more than likely will need to refer to your calculator. So 45 divided by 36, 45 divided by 25, 45 divided by 16, 45 divided by 9 gives me 5, okay? So I'm going to rewrite it as the square root of 9 times the square root of 5. Okay. Now I simplify that. So I have 3 square root of 5 over 12. This is not my simplified answer. Why? Because this square root is like a variable. You leave it alone, okay? Don't touch it. But the 3 over 12, that can simplify. You always simplify your fractions. No, nothing different here, okay? So bring over that negative. 3 goes into itself once. It goes into 12 4 times. Don't forget to put the square root of 5, okay? You don't technically need the 1. Just like if I had a variable, I don't need to put the 1 in front of my variable. Same thing here. It's understood. If it makes you feel more comfortable, then go ahead and put the 1. That is fine, okay? This would be your final answer that you would put into MyMathLab. All right. Redirections, I cannot stress that enough to you, okay? That tends to be one of the biggest problems. Students do not read directions carefully. It says approximate the square root to 3 decimal places, okay? So if you have trouble rounding and following the rounding rules, love MyMathLab for that, because it's going to correct you on it. It's going to fix that mistake. So I have the square root of 12. So I'm going to go to Desmos, and I'm going to type square root 12. Okay, and it gives me, here's my decimal here. Oh, sorry guys, it kept, be careful, make sure you're in an empty box. I was still in my box above. Okay, that looks more like the actual answer. All right, so it gave me 3.464 and etc. All right, 3 decimal places. So I go to the decimal and I count 1, 2, 3. I look at the fourth. Okay, it's a 1. So that means that I leave it alone. All right, that means I leave this 4 in front of the 1 alone. So that's 3.464. That's my answer. Okay. This next problem says approximate the square root to 3 decimal places. So again, follow the directions. So square root of 137. All right, so here we go. So I'm going to count 3 decimal places. 1, 2, 3. I'll look at the fourth. Okay, it's a 6. Hold up. Let me do this. Pen. All right. So 1, 2, 3. Look at the fourth. Okay, it's a 6, which means the number in front of it, the 4, is going to go up. All right, the number in front of it goes up. So you look at the fourth to determine what to do with the third place. So it's going to be 11.705. 705, please. Yep. All right. And that is it for simplifying radical expressions. If you have any questions, make sure you email me and let me know. All right.